Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining Talview and RM's webinar on securing the future of digital assessments, AI's role in integrity. Let's quickly move on to introduce our speakers here today. I'd like to quickly introduce Ian Castledine, Head of Propositions Assessment RM, who's joined me as a part of this webinar. Ian, if you could please do a quick round of introductions for the audience for us today.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm Ian Castledine. I'm Head of Proposition for RM. I'll tell you a little bit about RM in a moment. And Ed Williamson's also joining us today as our marketing lead. So really nice to be able to join Harry today.
Thanks, Ian. And my name's Harry Harjot. I work with Talview as the Customer Success Director and will be hosting your webinar today. A good lineup for us in terms of topics to quickly talk about. Ian and I have been working for a good couple of years on the Talview RM partnership, and we'd like to quickly share our experience on the role of AI specifically in the proctoring space and how the Talview RM partnership solution kind of worked towards enabling that. Ian, so working with Talview and partnering with Talview for us, working with RM has been great, right? I think the partnership has been great for the last more than 3 odd years. We've been working together to provide a solution where we seamlessly are able to integrate proctoring on top of your rich assessment platform and to be able to come to organizations with a combined, seamless, integrated solution, right? I think learned a lot definitely in that journey. Definitely proctoring started off probably in 2020. It was there before that. A lot of the users did use proctoring in some way or the other before that, but then really getting into online proctoring and online assessments kickstarted in 2020 and grown significantly since then. So RM's partnership with Talview definitely has allowed us as well to learn into a new space, to learn into some of the quick areas where RM works best and kind of complement the solution with Talview's AI proctoring. So before we get started, any thoughts or comments around the journey of proctoring over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen proctoring has opened up opportunities for our clients to be able to start moving beyond test centres, look more flexibly about how they deliver assessments, but with confidence that regardless of where the assessment's delivered, that it is being delivered with good levels of integrity. And as Harry said, the partnership with Talview has been a real boon for us in being able to progress forward with that.
Perfect. So quickly move on.
So Harry, shall I tell folks just a little bit about RM, because I'm conscious that as an organisation, people might not be familiar with who we are. And so RM has been focused entirely in education, and actually this year was our 50th anniversary since RM was established. But for those of you that don't know who we are, we work with we work as a digital assessment provider, headquartered in the UK, working across the world, but with offices in Australia and Singapore and in India, and supporting organisations in delivering high quality, secure assessments, particularly in general qualifications and professional qualifications, and across the range of different assessment types, but particularly in high stakes. And of course, that means that we have to have a particular focus on security and reliability and integrity of assessments. And we've been working in that space for the last 20 years or so. The nature of assessments continuing to evolve, and we're supporting organisations that are continuing to find ways of supporting their candidates and providing the relevant qualifications that allow them to then exceed in their next stage of life, whether that's through work or higher education. And a key part of that strategy is about helping organisations then to get actionable insights that help inform educational outcomes. I'm not going to speak for too long, but just to tell you a little bit about the nature of what we do. On the next slide, it touches on the breadth of organisations that we work with around the world. So working throughout the whole assessment end-to-end journey, from creating and delivering assessments through collecting and collating those assessment results, regardless of whether they're on screen or paper or coursework or whatever that is, and then fundamentally leading to the outcomes and results that are then fed back to students and then used in the classrooms as well to support educational outcomes. And thanks, Harry. On the next slide, we just gives a sense of a number of organisations that we're working with around the world doing that. That's a very varied set of clients based in countries across the globe, with our assessment platform being used. We reckon in about 170 countries. I challenge you to go and find some countries that aren't in that list. Actually, they're used really around the world. But working with Talview has helped us to evolve our offer to become more flexible and offer more flexibility to our clients. And a key part of that for us has seen a shift away from reliance on bricks and mortar test centres to enabling much more flexibility in assessment delivery, whilst ensuring the integrity of assessments. And I'll touch in a moment on a few different ways that we're seeing the use of AI helping to both facilitate that evolving landscape, whilst also maintaining integrity of assessments. A key part of our strategy, if you just pop on to the next slide for me, Harry, a key part of our strategy has been the digital assessment journey, and recognising that organisations around the world are on their own journey to progress, to make sure that the assessments and the qualifications they're providing are fit for purpose in the 21st century, and are relevant for the candidates and employers and industries that they're working within. And adopting digital assessment technology can really help that. And we built this model a couple of years ago to look at the strategy that organisations are taking to help them to unlock some of that transformation that they seek to give more flexible, much more agile assessment and learning practices. A lot of organisations we worked with are still very focused around paper, and so looking at the use of digital assessment can help them to improve efficiency and security of their assessments. Organisations might have started adopting digital, maybe embedding it through their assessments, and you might be in this place where you're starting to see the use of digital becoming much more prevalent. Maybe starting with certificate level qualifications and then progressing through to professional and advanced level. And what we're finding that as organisations embed digital, that really then is unlocking their ability to drive transformation. But through all of that, integrity of assessment is just critical. And regardless of the sectors that our clients are working in, it's imperative that their qualifications can be trusted, regardless of the mode of assessment. Individuals and employers and industry professionals, they've got to have confidence in the assessment process and in the outcomes. So as technology becomes more embedded throughout the assessment process, as we start to harness its power and also the power of artificial intelligence, we've got to continue to find ways of maintaining integrity and using the power of technology to make sure that we can lead to assessments with integrity as well. Now, we'll hear from Harry in a moment about how Talview are harnessing AI in their systems, but I also wanted to touch on a few other examples of how we're seeing it used throughout the assessment journey to improve assessment integrity. We're seeing a big theme at the moment in the use of generative AI, as I'm sure all of you will be looking at in one form or other, particularly to support the assessment creation process we're seeing at the moment. And as we investigate more of this, as we look at more of the efficiencies that technology can bring to the assessment authoring process, fundamentally that can lead to organisations being able to create larger item banks, more secure item banks that fundamentally unlocks new capabilities, such as the ability to adopt adaptive testing, for example, which can immediately start to introduce new ways of building additional integrity into the assessment process. We're also continuing to look at things like plagiarism detection, which is clearly a long-standing technology, but is now being further empowered through the use of AI to detect incidents of plagiarism on coursework and on digital assessments as well. And then we're seeing massive use of AI in assessment delivery. The introduction of remote proctoring has opened up lots of new flexibility for assessment providers, but also the need to evolve security processes so that it's better aligned to suit those new modes of working. I'm not going to talk for long about this next slide, but just to drop it on the screen, because RM's also, as well as working with Talview on remote proctoring, Harry, if you just drop onto the next slide for me, we've also been thinking about other ways in which AI can support the assessment delivery process. And over the last year or two, we've been working with a couple of clients using AI to detect instances of collusion by using pairwise comparison, along with lots of language processing techniques to detect suspicious practices that can be then investigated by assessment organisations. I'll always try and use this slide because it's great to stick an award-winning slide on the screen, and this just speaks to the e-Assessment Association award that this work won earlier this year. Thinking particularly about how we've been able to work with organisations to look at identifying instances of malpractice like this. Now, of course, that works great about detecting incidents of malpractice that have occurred, but of course, it's always possible and ideal to reduce instances of malpractice earlier in the assessment cycle as well. And so at that point, I think I need to hand back to Harry to talk then a little bit more about how remote proctoring technologies can be used to try and prevent incidents of malpractice occurring. So Harry, back to you.
Thanks, Ian. So I think what you spoke of before we get into the remote proctoring space, a couple of areas really keen, right? And I know that often in conversations where we've both been on and on separate customer conversations, getting on board that digital adoption journey is quite a significant step for a lot of organizations, right? And it's also one often which people are often on the fence. Should I, shouldn't I? Benefits, pros and cons, right? So I think getting on that journey is one of the critical factors for adopting technology. What some of the most common challenges that you faced or you've heard of, or some points of concern that folks have had when they try to get onto that digital adoption journey and get onto that first step? I know once you get on it and then you're on your way, right? I mean, it just kind of comes naturally. You move from step to step, and then your process is truly transformed, and the end state is great. But always the first steps are hardest, like they say, right? So what's some of the common concerns that customers have come up?
Absolutely. But also I think there's a big part of hearts and minds in this. So fundamentally, organizations have got to have confidence in their assessment processes. Individuals have got to have confidence. Candidates have got to have confidence. And so the digital assessment journey model that we put together is quite deliberate in recognizing that organizations need to progress, and they need to take small steps, careful steps, to be able to make sure that the integrity of assessment is maintained throughout. And really, that's the main learning point, is not to try and do too much too quickly, but to make sure that what's done is done well, and that will then help to build confidence. And actually, what we find is that then leads to an acceleration of adoption as confidence increases. So organizations, I think particularly in the professional qualification space, that have started out on a digital assessment journey expecting it to take many years, have taken small and gentle steps to start with, but have then actually found the pace of adoption increase rapidly as confidence and the benefits of digital become clearer.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for kind of sharing that across. And that's a lot of more what we've seen as well, of course, in our joint conversations, where once they get started adopting to it, the benefits are straightforward, and it kind of makes it a little easier. Now, quickly switching gears into talking a little bit about Talview. For a lot of those, Talview has been in the assessment and skill measurement space for close to a decade now. Some of our customers, again, working across all geographies and all sectors. Slightly behind RM, with 170 odd countries. We've worked in 122 countries. So we'll get there with the partnership that we have with RM in certain countries where we've not been there yet. A little over 200,000 recruiters and certification providers have been using the platforms, and 4 million proctored assessments that we've conducted. You see some nice logos with a good mix of certification, both from an education certification space and a professional certification space that Talview typically deals with, and of course, partners where we kind of support our technology on existing test platforms. Recognized as a leader in the remote proctoring space last couple of years has been good ones for us, where we've been recognized quite a bit in the tech space for solutions that we've deployed, for what our customers have to say about us in terms of the ease of use on the platform and the ease of doing business with. I think we strongly believe in problem solving as an approach, and with the collaboration that we have with our partners like RM, makes it a little bit more simpler for organizations to partner and get the end-to-end solution package from our side. Now, key challenges that the industry speaks today, and I know Ian did speak a bit about it in the start in terms of some of the challenges that the industries have today, but coming specifically in the education and certification space, right? What the primary challenge, I'm sure all of you would have either one or more of these challenges in your current space, right? Is protecting the integrity of the exams and certifications. When you're certifying somebody, when you're conducting an examination as an awarding body, you need to ensure that you're able to authenticate and certify that that particular examination, that particular certification is done to the best of the integrity, and there are no gaps in anywhere into the process, and you're able to kind of put a seal of approval on that. And doing it in a test center world is great, but being able to do it in a remote environment is something which a lot of organizations want to ensure that they get absolutely right. And that's where the assessment integrity comes in as a key part of it. Geographical reach for dispersed learners. This is one of the key areas where when you are in a brick and mortar store, your reach is kind of confined, and you're asking your learners to probably take a day off. You're asking your certification providers to take a day off, come into a location, conduct the process. But being able to reach them in their own spaces, being able to expand your reach further into some of those 170 odd countries definitely becomes possible when you go remote, when you go digital. And I think that's one of the areas where a lot of organizations have put a lot of focus over the last couple of years to be able to spread their reach as well as certification providers, and using remote proctoring and technologies definitely kind of assist that. Safeguarding data, security and compliance. One of the key paramount, along with secure content IP, right? Ian did speak a little about it in terms of creating question banks, creating test content. That is the IP for every assessment organization, right? I mean, you've got your content, you cannot have your content be moved out from the secure space that is. And for a proctoring provider, for a remote proctoring provider to be able to guarantee that test content security and to be able to guarantee that all these safeguard compliance policies are in place would be one of the biggest boosting points that we would require to ensure that somebody is able to take that digital adoption journey. Because like we said, the content is yours and you want to ensure that it's safeguarded. Determining a strategy for going digital. One of the key areas where everybody wants to ensure that their strategy to digital is not 0 to 100. Like it's in gradual steps. You take small steps and learn from your kind of actions and move on ahead. Actionable insights. Everybody has data, everybody has insights. Being able to use it in the way that we would want to is the key jigsaw to the piece, right? And I think that's where a lot of us often find a little bit of challenge, where technology helps you with a lot of data, but being able to segregate it, being able to act on it, being able to make improvements to the process on it, right, will be the key area for us to all focus on. And that's where coming in with a partnership, that we have with RM and Talview, the solution mindset and the approach that we take to be able to take you step by step on the digital adoption journey, look at the insights that kind of come in within each batch or each batch of feedback, and being able to improve and realign the process so that when we go out for the next set, the process is enhanced and your experience is better as an organization working with us. So some of the key challenges that the industry has today, like we said, some of the organizations that we speak to definitely have one or more these challenges, and which is where the remote proctoring solution that Talview has to offer, along with the assessment partners that we have, kind of comes to play. AI in proctoring. Now, we do want to talk about it, but the very first step of AI in proctoring for us is candidate verification. You want to ensure that the learner or the student that comes into that particular space to give an assessment is the same, right? A few simple checks that we put in place to ensure that this happens. You verify the ID, you verify the face, and you verify the environment. The ID is to ensure that the person who's there in the exam is the same, the ID is valid or authentic. Typically, in use cases, we've had them use either their passports or their work authorization IDs, or if they're students, use the student ID. A 360 scan of the environment is to ensure that the environment that they're on is free of any obstacles, and we are able to guarantee that integrity in their environment as well as a part of the assessment process. Now, this checks helps us to prevent candidate impersonation, ensures the fairness in the exams, and quite a lot of times, right? I think when we've done this for a number of years, what we see is just the mere presence of having a proctoring solution on top of your assessment engine deters a lot of test takers from even attempting to conduct any form of malpractice, right? And I think that's been one of the biggest drivers for a lot of organizations to adopt the technology, because they're able to see themselves, they're able to understand the process better. And even as a learner, when you're able to kind of see what's happening in the screen, you're able to see the integrity with which the process is being conducted, it kind of even deters you from being able to take any measures, that would probably deem the test unfair. And one of the biggest benefits is all of this is something which is stored and neatly shared back with the awarding bodies and the organizations, and always available at any point in time for any set of activities or checks that need to kind of take place after. Now, when you talk about the remote proctoring space, and like we come to it, there are three different types of offerings that can be plugged into the test engine, and that's the service offering that RM and Talview bring in as well, right? One is you have your fully automated AI-enabled solution for remote proctoring, which is a complete AI-enabled solution that runs on top of any test engine. The primary objective of this is to deter candidates from committing any form of online activities which would be considered impersonation or malpractice. And this runs on end-to-end AI. Benefits for this is it doesn't have any dependencies on anybody being present there to be able to monitor the candidate. The monitoring happens with respect to AI. There are multiple flags that the AI would kind of detect and flag out to the candidate if they conduct any of these activities. Live proctoring, these are for your certifications or examinations which require the highest level of security, where you actually have a human proctor monitoring the candidate and guiding the candidate through the entire process. You have the proctor who will greet the candidate, give them a quick instructions on what they are allowed to do, not to enter the test process, validate their IDs real time on the go, get them into the examination environment, and be there as a constant proctor to monitor the candidate during their entire examination process. Like we said, the proctor is also here to kind of assist the candidate and help them in case they have any challenges during the process, and really it's a more personalized experience and a personalized approach. A lot of organizations which want to ensure that their experience is right at the top, along with their test security practices right at the top, do often prefer to use a live proctoring approach where you have a multitude of possibilities, where you have the traditional 1:1 proctoring to candidate ratio. You can go as high as 4, 6, 18 candidates per proctor as well. Now, the neat thing about live proctoring is it is assisted with AI. The solution that RM and Talview bring in is it's not just the proctor has to do all the work. The reason we're able to scale at ratios above 1 is because you have the AI flags which constantly come in and assist the proctor as they do proctor the candidate and kind of act as a guiding layer for them to be able to make their decisions. Okay. And the last one is a record and review service. Now, this has benefits of both, where it's a fully automated AI-enabled solution which will track and record the candidate's behavior. And then these flags are captured and stored and later on reviewed by a professional proctor post the session to be able to say that whether a flag was valid and the candidate did indeed commit a malpractice, or say that take a call judiciously whether the candidate was just probably not able to kind of understand something and was trying to work around the screen, right? So you have professional proctors who are guided by instructions and guidelines, which kind of take care of the entire process. Now, three types of solutions for three types of needs, and each of them work fantastically well in a seamless, integrated manner to allow candidates to be able to give the best practice for themselves. Now, key benefits. Now, when we often talk to our customers of why they would like to kind of go ahead with the partnership model rather than go ahead and find individual providers and be able to work with them, some of the key benefits that they come in with is multiple layers of protection on the content and exam integrity. Now, it's not just one. When you look at your, Ian did speak about the test engine having a lot of the proctoring capabilities on plagiarism, etc., built in, which look at your on-screen activities, and the proctor on terms of live proctoring being able to monitor the candidate as well during the entire test process. You have a much better experience because it's completely seamless for the candidate. Nowhere during the point the candidate kind of sees this as a disjointed process. They see it as one seamless process moving from step A to step B till the last step. And the entire thing is stitched together for them to get a unified experience across the entire system is available across multiple different languages. And one of the most important things for us is taking care of accessibility. So a system making it accessible and taking care of accessibility requests from users as well is something which this kind of brings in an overarching solution for you.
Harry, could I just jump in there? Because I've just reinforced that point
Absolutely.
about the candidate experience just being so critical. And that's one of the things that I think we've taken over the last couple of years, is that the kind of whole experience from onboarding and make sure that your system is up to the job, the experience on the exam day, having confidence that if something doesn't quite go to plan, that there's that's managed and the candidate is kind of held all the way through that process. From our point of view as a digital assessment provider, that's a number one for us, as making sure that the candidate experience is really strong. And so, the work with Assessment Master and Talview being joined together and integrated has been a really significant enabler for that piece of for that experience. Sorry, just wanted to just touch on that because it's such a key part of the such a key benefit for us, really, in thinking about proctoring.
Absolutely, and I know that these are one of the most paramount metrics when we talk about any of the organizations who decide to go digital as well, right? Because for them, it's all about the learner and all about the candidate. And those are one of the biggest apprehensions that somebody has when they decide to go with a digital route. Will my learners be able to accept it? Will my learners be able to kind of go through it is always the first instance that they have in mind. And we've definitely seen that a lot of the candidates and learners actually prefer this, with the entire approach of, like you mentioned, greeting them in the onboarding phase, helping them navigate through the different stages, and then kind of continuously being there if in case they have any challenges, does definitely add a significant amount to their experience. And it is in fact that personalized approach that a lot of organizations do like. Pricing, of course, is easier, competitive when you compare it to what you would need probably when you keep hosting brick and mortar centers and the entire cost angle involved in that. The ease with which it kind of goes and integrates with any test platform, like we've done with the RM solution, it's something which really, really helps to give that unified experience, to give that unified approach to any test examination user. And support, right? We've spoken about it a lot. Support is one key factor which helps drive everything that we do have, right? And being able to offer 24/7 support, 24/7 accessibility to candidates to be able to take the examinations at any point in time has been one of the greatest drivers for us. In a lot of conversations which we have with our organizations, some of the best benefits that they see is we're not asking any of the learners to take a day off from work, or to be able to go ahead and kind of book an examination in the center and be able to present on that day. They could do it as early as 6 o'clock in the morning, just before they kind of get ready to go to work, or come back late evening 11 o'clock in the night and be like, okay, I'd rather complete my certification course at this point in time. That's something, and have the level of support from the RM plus Talview team to be able to achieve that has been one of the greatest drivers in fact, for people to be going digital, right? It kind of increases their pool, increases their visibility, increases the offering that they have multifold, when it often is also compared to some of their competitors in the offering space. Now, we've spoken a lot of what we have and what we've done in the past, but talking a little step ahead when we talk about the future of proctoring, right? The industry has definitely grown. The ways to kind of monitor candidates have also grown in the last few years. So I think when we look at it broadly from a future of proctoring perspective, Ian did talk about adaptive testing processes, but to complement that, we'd also like to have adaptive proctoring practices, right, which will adapt and monitor the test behavior for candidates and risk takers based on historical data. Now, this is something that a lot of organizations are coming back to us saying that, how would you be able to do it? Where can you kind of look at historical data of candidates which have kind of committed malpractices? What are the sort of malpractices that have been committed? Use intuitive measures like keystroke analysis, etc., to look at probably flagging users as well. Blockchain verification to be able to securely store their records in a tamper-proof manner. This is something, again, which as we go on this digital journey is paramount for us to ensure that we are able to enhance the digital safety and authenticity of any of the test records that have been there. Proctoring in Metaverse. Metaverse has everything at this point in time, right? I think a little short from people actually living in Metaverse, we also want to venture into that space where we're able to give a fully proctored immersive experience for candidates in the Metaverse. So this increases the difficulty for any malpractice to happen and improves candidate privacy and gives you an element where you're also getting on the Metaverse journey and being able to kind of provide the candidate a much more enhanced and immersive experience. Predictive cheating analytics, a deeper integration, between both the test engine and the proctoring solution, like we have with RM and Talview, to be able to do real-time intervention basis test taker actions. Now, I know a lot of high-stake certification examinations have come back and would like to ensure that in a live proctoring scenario, the proctor can definitely take the step, right? If they see a candidate committing any form of malpractice, just block the candidate and terminate them in a process. But even in an AI format that we would like to do, block the candidate if the test taker is committing any behavioral flags and kind of ensure that the test content security is ensured in a real-time manner. Privacy enhancing technologies, to ensure that you're doing any of the proctoring, any of the test accessibilities without any data storage or reducing the privacy risks. And of course, having the greatest emphasis on ethical use of proctoring, being completely transparent in terms of the data record that's being used, being completely transparent in the information that's being given to users, and being respectful and mindful of any of the activities that we're conducting from a proctored manner. Ian, I know we spoke earlier a bit in terms of looking at the integrity piece from RN's perspective on AI as well. What does the future hold from that standpoint? If you could just share a few insights for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, from our point of, thanks for that, Harry, because I think those benefits, they resonate with me as well. We're seeing the future of proctoring really needing to respond to a word that keeps going to mind is flexibility, because actually the organisations that we're working with at the moment are looking for improvements of flexibility in the nature of assessment. So how does proctoring impact on the use of simulation assessments, for example, and thinking about different ways of making sure that as you adopt new forms of assessment, that you can still do that in a secure way and that you maintain that assessment integrity. And the other one, I think, for me would be thinking around the nature of assessment delivery. So actually, maybe there's a blend in the future of using technology to support in-class proctoring to make that more efficient, and harnessing the power of technology in a way that maybe today is a little bit tricky to achieve. So it's all about trying to build more flexibility and making sure that as we harness those, get flexibility into the assessment processes, that it's done in a way that's still got credibility and integrity, and that we've got credible qualifications coming out at the end of it.
Absolutely, and I think the last one that you've mentioned, right, in terms of being able to harness the power of technology to get a good blend of it, right? Not keep it fully, at home, not keep it fully in center, but being able to get a good blend of AI plus classroom-based processes, I think, is something that we're hearing a lot from our organizations as they come to as well, saying that how could we build a process which has the best of both worlds and also allows us to keep some of the processes that we currently have at the comfort, because it's all about ensuring that uh, your administrators, your learners, and the awarding bodies are all getting the best of each of the realms, right? I think so. That's one which definitely we all are kind of working towards, and ensuring that we're able to see the best use of AI in that space as well. Perfect. Well, I think that's a quick walkthrough from Ian and myself in terms of what we had today to present in terms of slides. We'd quickly like to open it up for the audience to share any questions, thoughts, or comments with us on the chat box as you've been doing so, and we'll quickly take up some questions.
We have our own in-house secure browser, which is called Talview Secure Browser, which we are currently using for any sort of requirements where we have any customers who want to use a lockdown browser. So it restricts the candidates from going anywhere else other than the test window, unless there is any sort of pages or some applications which are whitelisted for them specifically to use.
And RM's using a safe exam browser as well. So yeah, there is flexibility in there.
Right. All right. Moving on to the next one. Could you please talk us through how academic integrity is maintained in a live exam situation? What sort of tools or settings do you have in place to ensure that the students are rigorously proctored?
So if you're looking at the live proctoring solution, there will be a proctor who will be monitoring the candidates throughout the test. We have options where we can monitor the candidate with the help of secondary camera, and the screen which they are attending the test is completely recorded. So the proctor will be able to see what is happening in the entire surrounding as well as what is happening in the candidate screen. So this helps the proctor to take a decision that if there is any sort of malpractice that have been detected, or if there is any sort of possibility that the candidate is trying to reach out to someone and get help, the proctors will be able to get the help of all these functionalities that we are having and detect any sort of malpractice that the candidate is trying to do.
Right. Moving on to the next one. Does the malpractice practice detection AI system work in different languages or only in English?
Yeah, shall I pick up these next two? So yeah, it's a good question. At the moment in English, that's largely because the understanding about the structure and the processing of English is just better understood at the moment. There's more focus that's been put into it. So our priority has been English, but longer term, yeah, we see extending that out to other non-English languages as well. And Kashif, good to hear from you today. And thank you for your question about the malpractice detection, and does it work for paper-based exams as well, or is it just digital? At the moment, our focus has been on digital, because of course, once you've got on-screen responses, it's so much easier to do comparisons and the types of analysis that we're doing. We have looked and started looking at paper-based exams and the sorts of and trying to detect issues of collusion in paper. it's a very different beast. It's a very different area to look at. Not only do you have to start thinking about handwriting recognition, for example, as well as looking at pattern matching between the two, but you're also looking for quite different sorts of issues that are arising. So that then is more about collusion that's happening within a test center, for example, whereas our focus to date has been more around the impact of on a remote proctored exam. So it's an area that I'll happily spend a bit more time talking and exploring with you in due course as well, if that would help.
Right. Thank you, Ian. The next one, how does the partnership between RM and Talview work? And specifically, how does the effect benefit the service users? Ian,
Yeah,
if you
shall I pick that one up as well?
Sure.
Because there's been a big part of my focus, and as I said earlier on, the candidate experience is really key for me and for our propositions. So how we for a candidate that's taking a test on a remotely proctored session, then it's been important to think about the end-to-end journey and what their experience is, both before test day, on the test day, and then afterwards. And so we've got a technical integration between our systems, between Assessment Master, which is RM's assessment platform, and the ProView system. But we've also got a service integration as well. So looking at the interactions that need to happen at each stage. There are some things that our awarding organisations need to deal with. There are some things that RM needs to deal with. There are some things that Talview needs to deal with. But I need the candidate to be able to have a strong experience regardless. And so it's a blend of technical integration and service integration.
Okay, thanks, Ian. One more for more. Does the candidate verification use and save biometric?
So when we are saying biometric data, we don't save any such biometric data. We normally capture the ID card of the candidate and the photo of the candidate and keep it on the system for further validation in case of AI proctoring. Real-time validation will be done by the proctor in case of the live proctoring solution that we are having. So these data again are stored on the system basis the customer requirement. So normally we keep the data on the system for 6 months. Or if you want to have any of such data which has been captured, removed before that, we will be having the ability to do so as well.
All right. So there is one more. It's an anonymous question. We have a process that requires the candidate to be on site to participate in the computer-based test, but does not get a real-time result. How can we improve this?
Shall I pick that question up? That is probably more of a platform question than a proctoring one, actually. It's a really good question. I'd love to have more conversation with you about that, actually, because there might be an element in there about test design. Because of course, one of the things that typically will get in the way today would be if there's a need for human marking of an item that can have a bearing, and so test design can clearly impact that. Although interestingly, we're also looking at the future of things like AI in marking as well, to be able to get earlier feedback to students, probably more in the formative space than the high stakes, to be fair, at this stage. But I think there's also a question in there about the nature of your assessment platform, and if that's and how that is then set up to be able to get results back in a timely fashion. So I think it's a hard question to answer in isolation, actually, but really have to have some conversation after this event. So feel free to get in touch with us around that, Mr. Anonymous.
Yeah, or if you could drop your name in another question, I guess we reach out.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
I can open the chat for everybody. Thank you. Right, the next one is, are the proctors provided by you, or are the proctors supposed to be provided by the institution? Rojan, if you could take that.
So we basically have both the options. So we support proctors from our side, or if the if someone is looking for proctors from their own side because of the security or some sort of data privacy from the customer side, we'll have the option to go with the customer proctor itself as well.
Thank you, Rojan. Right. Does the proctor communicate with the student through a camera and microphone or only through chat?
So from a proctoring standpoint, if you're looking at the live proctoring, the candidate will be throughout monitored by the proctor. So they'll be able to see the video stream coming in from the candidate side. But the means of communication between the proctor and the candidate is, there are two means. One is through chat. We also have the voice call feature, which is available, where the candidate or the proctor will be able to initiate a call and have a discussion with each other.
Okay. In live proctoring, a significant number of test takers, say 500 students, how is it ensured that all candidates start and finish the exam at the same time?
Yeah. Again, so if you are having a live proctored session, we'll know the test is scheduled in advance. So based on the number of candidates who are going to attend the test and based on the proctoring ratio, if the proctors are from our side, we'll make sure that the proctors are available for the number of test takers based on the proctoring ratio. But if it's specifically customer-based proctoring proctors, then the specific customer will have to make sure that the proctors are available so that they'll be able to monitor the sessions throughout during this exam period.
Okay. Next. How is candidate verification carried out for the three solutions, in person or using an automated process?
So this will be slightly different for all the three kind of proctoring solutions that we are having. In case of AI proctoring, what will be done is like the ID card and the photo will be captured and it will be available on the system for a further review at a later point of time. If you are looking at record and review, it again will not validate the ID and photo when the candidates are joining the test. It will be happening post the test. So there will be reviewers who will be reviewing the entire session, including the ID, the photo which they have uploaded, and the session video. And based on that, final validation report will be shared. In case of the live proctoring solution, the candidates would be only allowed to go into the test once the proctor validates and verifies the person in the ID and the photo is matching, and they are good to go ahead with the test.
We have next question. So I'm not sure what this means, but let me try to make sense of it. Do the higher proctoring level you offer also include the functionality of the lower levels? For example, does live proctoring include AI functionality and record the learner during the session as additional layers of security? Yeah. Okay, Rojan got it.
As we are going from AI proctoring to record and review and live proctoring, all the functionalities that we have in the AI proctoring would be available in live proctoring solution as well. It will just help the proctors to make a decision on if there is something going wrong from the candidate side. So it is just an assistant tool that the proctors will be using while they are monitoring the candidate throughout the test.
I hope that answers your question. Okay, when AI is supporting a human proctor, do you know what proportion of the AI flags are false positives?
So that's actually a good question. So there will be definitely false positive because we cannot say that AI will be always 100% correct. So that is why the human proctors are there just to make a decision on if, let's say, there are like multiple people detected in front of the system and AI is flagging that, or like let's say there is only one person in front of the system and AI is flagging a multiple face detected. So that is where the proctor comes into picture and view the video stream which is coming through and make a decision if it's a false positive flag or a correct flag. And the proctors will also have the ability to remove those flags, and this will help in generating the final report for the candidate.
Right. What type of support is available for a non-English speaking student?
So currently, from a support standpoint, we are having English-based support, which is available 24/7. We currently don't have any other language support as of now.
But if I could just sum in from our own perspective, that is something that we're going to be investing in over the next few weeks, actually. So if you've got a particular focus for non-English, then that's something that we'd be happy to talk about. We're working with some global clients at the moment that have got that need to go beyond English. So yeah, that's something that we're going to be introducing very soon.
Thanks, Ian. Does 24/7 support include support with technical issues that candidates might have during an exam?
So the 24/7 support is actually meant for the candidates. So like the candidates would be attending the exam and they should need immediate support while they are attending the exam. So it would be available for the candidate 24/7, and they can reach out to the support team at any point of time.
Right. This one was addressed to Harjot, but unfortunately he's not here. So if there is a suspicion of cheating, can a test taker be blocked temporarily during the test?
I think that's on Rojan, or do you want to?
Yeah, Rojan, do you want to take that?
So currently we have the option to terminate a candidate if they are being detected of any malpractice or so. The pausing option, I think, Ian, would you be able to speak about the pausing option which we are having?
Yeah, I mean, effectively, that's part of our onboarding process, is to work out what the appropriate response is for you as an assessment organisation. Some will choose to pause or even terminate an assessment if there's instances of malpractice. Others will choose simply to have that recorded for later to review. So there's an element of that being about sort of working through the specific policies and practices for you as an organisation. I hope that's right, Rojan.
Okay, moving on to the next one. If an organization is predominantly paper-based, how do you work together to make their content management system compatible with your tech? Do you recommend particular test engines? Ian, I think you...
Yeah, shall I pick that one up? So, I mean, clearly I'd recommend RMs. It's perfect. So everybody should use it. I mean, joking apart, if you're in that journey from paper to digital, then yeah, there's lots of considerations, not least thinking about the nature of your content and how to get it out of the paper system and into digital. There are lots of standards and specifications that will help with that, but ultimately, yeah, that's it's not a simple task. It is one that does need careful thought and consideration. There are I think while clearly I am biased as an assessment platform provider, but clearly it is important as you look at transitioning from paper to digital, to think about the sort of the direction that you're taking and the strategy that you're taking in digital adoption, and then trying to make sure that the engines that you're picking are suitable for that. So as an example, that might be about a consideration around, are you testing in a sessional model or on demand? That will have a bearing on the management tools and techniques you use. How it hooks into services like remote proctoring will have a bearing depending on the nature of your delivery model. So it's quite a complex answer, actually. And the key really is just to start thinking about, well, what is the problem you're trying to solve, and how what are the stages to get there. Again, I know that I'm speaking on behalf of RM. We'd be happy to have a conversation with you. If moving on paper and trying to get on that digital journey is something you're keen to start looking at.
Yeah, please drop your name in the chat, and Ian will reach out to you. Of course, someone from RM. Thanks, Ian. I suppose we answered this question before about can we use our proctors? So I'm just going to move on. Ian, this one is addressed to you. Is there a solution that can make use of AI in marking students' responses?
Yeah, it's such a good question. This is an emerging theme for me. So I look after our propositions to RM, and we're looking at the moment, and we have been for a while, at the nature of AI across the whole assessment landscape. Marking is part of that. It's really interesting. Marking pops up every now and again as a theme. Auto marking pops up as a theme and then kind of disappears again. what I'm particularly interested in is the problem we're trying to solve. And what I'm seeing increasingly is that organizations are looking to use artificial intelligence, not just to do the core marking, but as a way of enhancing the feedback that goes back to students, and maybe providing that on in situations that if you rely on human individuals, that simply is impractical. So it's early stages, and I happy to explore more of that offline with you as well, clearly.
Thank you. So we have 4 more minutes, and we have a lot of questions. So if you have your name mentioned against your question, we will get back to you if we are unable to answer the questions. And if you are an anonymous attendee, then yeah, please drop your name in the chat, or drop your question in the chat with your name. Thank you. Quickly moving on to the next one. Bringing AI means requires better and stronger connectivity. Can this increase the cost of the delivery?
So basically, bringing this AI to the test delivery system, that will add up the network bandwidth requirement, but there will not be a significant increase in the requirement. So it will not be like, if you're looking at the network connections that we are having across the world, mostly in all the regions, these kind of tests will be supported, and it will not be having any additional cost for that.
There's one more question from Samir. I'm just going to club this too. He's also asking how much percentage AI will decrease malpractice?
That's again a good question. So basically, when we are using an AI or a remote invigilated service, it will, like, the candidates will not have a tendency to have any sort of malpractice. So if you are having some sort of a test done without the help of any sort of the proctoring services, there is a significant there is a lot of probability that the candidates will be able to get help from some others, or will be able to get help from some other places, and they'll be able to attend the test. So when we are using AI, what we have seen across the customers is like it is helping them to make sure that the rate of malpractice that used to occur in a center, like in a non-proctored environment, is significantly higher than what we are having in a proctored environment.
Okay. There's one more from Samir. Sorry, he has a lot of questions. If AI is supporting, what maximum number proctors can proctor candidates? So how many candidates can be proctored? Like single proctor? Like if AI is supporting, I think we can. Yeah. What's the maximum number we can?
Again, it will be based on the requirement. So if there is a test where we have significant number of candidates to attend, so we'll be able to make the necessary arrangement at our site to support any number of sessions that we are having. Again, it will be based on the requirement that will be collected while we are getting into an agreement.
Okay. All right. So in terms of proctoring for a first-time user, which of the remote proctoring solutions will you recommend taking into consideration a region in Africa?
Again, if you are thinking of remote proctoring solution, it depends on the stake of the exam. So for any high stake exam, always the live proctoring solution is something that which we recommend to go ahead with. And based on the stakes of the exam, you can go with, for the lower stakes, we can go with the AI proctored, or like if it's a mid-stake exam, we can go with the record and review service.
All right. We are at the top of the hour. I'm just going to take one last question, and we'll address the rest of the questions who has the names against them, and we'll reply to you in person. So the last question is, what is the longest session a live proctor can do?
So currently, again, it depends on the requirement. So currently, what we are seeing is like any sessions that are happening, like the candidate will not be able to continuously sit in a remote proctored session. What we have seen is maximum like around 5 hours. There should be a break for the candidate in between the test. So it will again depend on the requirement, and how we are configuring it will be based on the requirement.
All right. Okay, then I think we'll wrap this session. And I want to thank all of you who have attended and been a wonderful audience asking us wonderful questions. We still have 14 unanswered questions, which we are very eager to answer. So in case, what we're going to do, if you're an anonymous attendee, maybe we'll post something relevant on social media regarding this, so you may get your answers. So hopefully that's something we can do. And for people whose name is there, we will respond to you personally, right? Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Rojan. And thank you, Harry, of course, and Ed. And yeah, we'll have another session soon and we'll keep you posted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.